Lighten Up podcast with Lauren Polly, your invitation for living on the lighter side of life. I'm Lauren Polly, and I am delighted you have chosen to join me today for episode 177 Big Choices Risk, Reward, and Freak Out. I know you probably know what I'm talking about just from that title, but let's break it down just a little bit. What we're going to be covering today is looking at big choices in our lives and what inevitably comes up when we are standing at that crossroads, trying to decide left, right, straight, stand still, go backwards, moving at all. How we start weighing the risk versus the reward in what we can choose, and all of the interesting freak out moments that occur before you actually take the leap to be able to choose to stay or to go. It's quite fascinating no matter what you're going through in your life right now. Big choices are afoot. That is just how we create. There are bigger choices that actually propel you forward, and being able to break it down in a way where you can hear yourself, trust your desire, trust your awareness, and be aware of what will create for you and what may not is huge. This is also a learning curve. I mean, we've all had huge choice points in our lives. We've all invested in relationships, in businesses, in career developments, in school choices. Just being able to kind of build our daily life, big choices do go into that. It's kind of a fascinating thing to look at how often they actually occur. Being able to go, okay, I'm feeling the need for change. I've been asking for something different. I've been exploring the possibilities. Now here comes the possibility that I could act on, that I could choose and move forward with. Oh my goodness, what comes up? A lot of times it is is this too good to be true? It's too much of a match. Maybe I'm getting tricked somehow. But if I invest in this, what is the possible outcomes, and how come I don't know it ahead of time? We kind of want the answers before we'll get going. We want the guarantee, right? There's a lot of interesting stuff that comes up when we are looking at that possibility that has shown itself. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of taking that leap. Sometimes we leap with blind eyes because we go, oh, it's a match. I've been asking for this, so I might as well move ahead. But we don't take the space to really look with clarity. And for me, the lightening up conversation is all about that. Like, what would it take to actually have truth and honesty and clarity in the heart of the matter so that you can see what's true for you, what will create and move forward? What a lot of us do with that, though, unfortunately, is we start to invite doubt into the picture. I see a lot of people asking questions, and questions are fantastic. They actually open up the door to more possibilities. When someone, something actually appears in your life and you're looking at investing your resources with it, time, money, energy, engagement, what have you, being able to ask questions about it will give you more awareness. But what I find so frequently, even with myself still, is sometimes the questions are more of a questioning of you and your awareness than they are of the possibility. It sows in doubt. It actually makes you second guess your initial awareness that actually said, yes, this is the thing, or sometimes, no, this isn't the thing. We have a very interesting way of talking ourselves out of possibilities with self sabotage and doubt. We also have a very interesting habit of talking ourselves into possibilities based on conclusions and the way things should be done. So it's kind of a fascinating conversation. It's a little bit all over the place. I get it, but it's interesting to start picking it apart for yourself. So as we chat further, just have in mind, what is a big choice point you're going through currently, personally, professionally, what have you, and where can this conversation maybe give you clarity, but also ease up a little bit and bring you out of the mind, bring you out of what you should choose, and actually into what is possible to choose in this moment. I was kind of presented with a big choice last week out of the blue. Something I've been working towards professionally is to build my paid speaking engagements and to build my media presence with my multi-award winning book and my coaching and all my communities. It's been something I've been asking for a long, long time. And lo and behold, I got a telephone call. You're up for this thing. It's a year of marketing support. It's an agent who has connections who can pitch you here, there, and everywhere. It was such an energetic yes as soon as it landed in my lap. And it was kind of fascinating because the more information I obtained, the deeper I dug in, some of the things involved in this actually kind of pushed some buttons for me. They weren't exactly the lightness of, yes, everything's amazing, let's move forward. And it created this interesting crux point that I think most of us go through where we balance pros, cons, risk and reward, and the immediate kind of freak out with the mind getting overly involved in the process, the second guessing and the doubt and the hemming and the hawing of, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I won't. It's been kind of a fascinating journey just in the last couple of days. It's been fascinating to allow myself to kind of work through it in my world and to then look at where I see a lot of my clients going through this, and a lot of, I know you all listening go through this as well. One way that I've been working through it is to look at the risk and the reward, but in a different way. So instead of trying to figure out the right thing and the wrong thing, like maybe this is a wrong move, wrong timing, or maybe this is the wrong group to get involved with, or looking for the right thing that, yes, there's a guarantee in here because let's be honest, there's no guarantees in life at all, right? There's an element of risk every time you're going to make a big choice. It's a leap of faith. It's a trust in yourself, right? It's been kind of interesting to look at that. So what I've done is actually ask the question of, okay, if I don't choose this, what's the worst that can happen? If I don't choose this right now. And for me, what came up with this kind of personal thing that I'm going through right now, it was, I would always probably look back and wonder, what if? What if I had made the leap? What if I had moved forward with it? And so I got the energy of that. I got the awareness of that if I don't choose this, I don't choose to take the risk, what would be kind of like the worst case scenario was the what ifs in my world. Then I started to look at, okay, if I did actually choose this, what is the worst case scenario? Actually diving in. Well, investing my time, my money, my resources, my hope really even in the whole thing, and having nothing come of it. Okay, well, that would kind of be the worst scenario with me actually moving forward with this. And what I did was I actually took a look at those two energies. The biggest risk of, okay, if I don't go, and the biggest risk in my perspective if I do go. For me, the risk of not going and always wondering what if was actually more of an uncomfortable, disharmonious energy in my world than actually taking the leap and rolling the dice, so to speak. So for me, that was an easier way to kind of look at this risk and reward conversation and to ease the freak out. There's a lot of other stuff at play as well. We're going to dive into that with some more podcasts because I think it's going to hopefully unwind stuff for you when you're looking at these big choices in our lives. And really the big choices when you're in it and when you're aware and when you're willing to take the risk, that's what actually catapults you forward, right? But like I said, a lot of us talk ourselves into taking these big choices based on stuff that's not ours. And then we end up in less than ideal circumstances. Or we spend a lot of time talking ourselves into something that's just not a match right now. It's just not a fit for who knows what reason. And so as I was looking at making this big leap for myself in my career, I wonder how much is that? How much am I diving into this and getting a yes because this is something I thought that I wanted or other people want for me, or this is the way that I'm supposed to go about it or have to go about it. So there's been interesting awarenesses along that line. There's also been interesting awarenesses on the other line where sometimes we talk ourselves out of the possibility. And how that usually looks is second guessing and doubting and going, oh, it's probably too good to be true. I don't think they can deliver. Maybe I'm not ready for it. All of this interesting stuff that comes up. So be aware as you move forward, kind of like first steps into this. You have a big choice point in your life. Something presents itself. There's a person, there's a business, there's a career move, there's a move personally, like to move your body to a new location, all of that stuff. First thing to look at, where are you now balancing the risk and the reward? Play with what I did. Ask yourself the question, okay, worst case scenario, if I don't choose this right now, what will occur? And that's going to look different for all of us because we all have our own unique perspective. What's the worst thing that will occur if you don't choose it right now? Cool. So now, what's the worst thing that could happen in your perspective if you actually did choose it? And which one of those things is kind of the more risky move in your mind? The risky move there of, like me, not taking the opportunity and wondering the what ifs. That to me is a way more degenerative quality in my life than taking the risk, investing all this thing, and then maybe having some kind of crushed hopes along the path if nothing comes of it. I would rather take the risk than I would risk wondering what if. But that's my own personal thing. That's how I worked myself through it. You could also play with the flip side of that too. What is the most amazing thing that could occur if you didn't go? And what's the most amazing thing that could occur if you did? And how could it get even better than that? Way beyond your expectations, way beyond your projections, and way beyond your imagination, right? And then to be able to kind of take this other topic, this other conversation with that. What's the worst case if I don't go? What's the worst case if I do? And then start to look at, is this for me? Is this for me right now? And all of the other stuff that's getting glumped and stuck together of, am I now talking myself out of a possibility based on self-sabotage, doubt, other people's points of view, the shoulds and the shouldn'ts of the world? Or am I taking the opposite perspective here and talking myself into something that kind of matches what I'm asking for, but my awareness is maybe saying, no, it's not for you, it's not for right now. And I'm choosing it based on, again, other people's perspectives, the doubts, the self-sabotage, or even trying to make something fit that just doesn't fit. I know this sounds like a whole mind blah, kind of freak out thing, and it absolutely is. And I hope you recognize this energy because I know I'm not the only one who goes through this. I know a lot of us go through this. And it's just something that occurs when you do have a big choice point. To break it down a bit and to look at where you're talking yourself into something, where you may be talking yourself out of something, and stopping that behavior. Stopping it, coming back kind of into more of a neutral, allowing space, non-reactive space, and then asking, what's the worst thing if I don't? What's the worst thing if I do? And start weighing those options. Which one is more true for you in this given moment? Be aware that we are sold the lie quite dynamically and frequently that we have like the one shot. You are discovered. You've got the one person you're meant to be with. You have the door that opens and it's the only one that will ever open for you. And a lot of us get pressured and we end up talking ourselves into stuff because we go, oh, this is the one chance. I have to move. That's a falsehood. That's an invented timeline. That's time pressure that actually isn't so. But also keep in mind the other thing where when you are asking for something and the door swings open to it, and you don't actually take the step forward when that door opens, you hesitate, you take yourself out of the possibility, you talk yourself back. What gets occurred with that too? You've been asking for something, the door swung open and you didn't go. What impact that could have on your life and your ability really to create whatever it is you desire. Yes, there will probably be other possibilities down the road, but being able to actually walk through the door when it opens and trusting your initial gut sense of, yes, this is it, this is for now, worst case scenarios, kind of balancing out here, I'm going to go for it. Being able to actually walk through and takes that risk can actually lead to greater rewards down in the future. There is no right, there is no wrong with this conversation. This is just the personal choice. And how does it get better than that? I just know personally, and I know from what I've seen in my work with people, that this is where a lot of people get stuck. This is where a lot of people get stopped. And to watch myself go through it last week, I was like, wow, this is a really intense and really kind of aggressive energy to have to wrestle with in your life. I hope just giving you these two things to look at, where you're talking yourself out of it, where you're talking yourself into it, stopping that, and then playing with those two questions and actually seeing if you can break it down a bit will lead to greater clarity and greater ease for you moving forward. I know for me, it's actually created a lot more ease looking at this, and really just choosing what works for me and not other people. Some other people may not want to take the risk. For me, taking a risk like this actually isn't a risk because I know I'm investing in myself and what I've created. And maybe just to add that in, there will be another podcast about this. When you take that leap, when you invest yourself in, when you move forward with something, buck stops here, actually knowing that you're leading your life. And if you've asked a question, you got that it was light to go, you make the chance, you make the opportunity to move forward, trusting yourself that you're going to make the most of it. And you're going to continue to ask questions, and you're going to continue to demand of yourself to actually show up and shape what it is, not just go, okay, I chose this, let me lay back and just see what occurs. You actually stepping forward will create more of a sense of creation, and in that, more of a sense of ease of possibilities moving forward. There's a lot to this conversation. I hope this episode assisted you being able to kind of piece it apart. Like I said, there's going to be more podcasts on this. Please reach out to me. Let me know how this is going. I have a free community up online where we are having these conversations, and there's added content to not only this podcast, but the whole conversation as a whole. It's called the Lighten Up Community off the Lighten Up podcast. I'll put the link to join down below. It is amazing to be able to get in, have deeper conversations, and to explore all of these possibilities in a deeper and richer way. So join me there, ask questions, let me know how it's going, and I can create more content off of this to see truly what is possible for us to be able to make these big choices in our lives, weigh the risk, weigh the reward, actually be present with all of that, and at the same time reduce the freak out, reduce the self-sabotage, the second guessing, and the doubt, and actually be able to have clarity as we move forward on our life path. Have an amazing week. I hope to see you in the community, and I will chat with you next Tuesday.